everyone, welcome to Current Affairs for Beginners. First we'll see answer for the yesterday's question with regard to the Indian patent system. Which of the following can be patented? Discovery of scientific principle or formulation of an abstract theory, a method of agriculture or horticulture, inventions relating to atomic energy. Here the answer is none. None of the above can be patented according to our Indian patent system. In our today's core notes, I have clearly provided you with which types of inventions are not patentable in India. Please do refer to that. Now let's start our today's session. These are all the topics that we are going to cover in our today's video. The first article is Venkaiah disapproves of competitive populism. From this article, now we are going to see about what is meant by this competitive populism. Competitive populism is the parties, that is the political parties or various groups or states providing freebies, that means providing things at free of cost for which we don't have to pay, or some doles, that is providing some benefits or populist measures in order to gain advantage over their competitors and to attract the attention of the people in order to gain votes during the election. So to put it simply, it is nothing but competitively offering freebies for winning the votes. Some of the examples for these competitive populist measures are like waiving of the loans and providing unemployment benefits, all the social security schemes. All this will come under this competitive populist measures. The next article is Channel Watch. This article comes under GS paper 2 under the topic of governance. From this article, now we are going to see about this TRAI, Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, and what are its new tariff and regulatory framework for broadcasting and cable services. First, we'll see about TRAI, the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India. This was established in 1997 by an Act of Parliament called as TRAI Act of 1997. It is an independent regulator of telecom business in India. It regulates the telecom services, including fixing or revising the tariffs for telecom services which were done by the central government before TRAI was established. The mission of this TRAI is to create the conditions for the growth of telecommunications in India in order to enable the country to have a leading role in the emerging global information society. And it will also provide free and transparent environment that promotes level playing field, and it will facilitate fair competition in the market. It will also regularly issue orders and directions on various other subjects like tariffs, quality of service, DTH services, and mobile number portability. It will also fix and revise the tariffs for telecom services in India. Now let us see what is a new regulatory framework for broadcasting and cable services by the TRAI. These new guidelines came into effect from February 1st of 2019. Before going into what are they, first let us see what is meant by this term known as la carte. A la carte means if you eat a la carte, you will choose each dish from a separate list. There will be a list of dishes. Out of this, you will choose a separate dish for which the rate will be specified instead of choosing a fixed combination of dishes at a fixed price. The same method of a la carte was applied by the TRAI while setting these regulatory guidelines to all the DTH and local cable operators. These new guidelines were set up to address the issue of transparency in cable services and in order to provide real choice to the consumer, which was unrealized since the digitization of cable TV network. So now, as per these new guidelines, the customers can choose the set of channels they wanted to view rather than taking up the pre-decided packs provided by the service providers. Now the customers were having the option to choose what they want, and they'll pay only for the channels which they have chosen. And the MRP of these channels should be displayed on the TV screen through electronic program guide like this. This is the cost of this channel. Along with this, the distributors and the broadcasters can provide a set of channels, but they should do so with price transparency. The maximum network capacity fee they should collect is 130 rupees for 100 channels. So now, what are the benefits of these regulatory guidelines by the TRAI? This will provide real choice to the consumers by allowing them to choose channels which they wanted to view. And they will provide transparency in the cable price because it has to be displayed on the TV screen, which is going to reduce the monthly cable or DTH bill. And this program is not specified to some particular areas or towns or cities. These guidelines will cover all the cable operators by providing a uniform regulatory standard. So these rules will provide equal opportunities for all the channels for consumers' choices. The next article is the solution is universal. This article comes under GS paper 2 under the topic of social justice. From this article, now we are going to see about two schemes. One is Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, which is the largest social security scheme in the world that will guarantee 100 days of unskilled manual work to all the rural households in India. This act will give rural households the right to work, and it made an obligation for the state to provide them the work on demand. The works as part of this act are on projects to build durable assets like roads, canals, ponds, wells, etc. And with the higher participation of women and scheduled caste and scheduled tribe individuals, the scheme is inclusive. About 1 in 2 opportunities that were created under the scheme has to go for a woman, and about 40% has to be for scheduled caste and scheduled tribe individuals. And they will be paid by a way of direct transfer into the beneficiary accounts. And the next one is PM-KISAN Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi Yojana. This program will provide the vulnerable landholding farmer families who are having the cultivable land up to 2 hectares, which will be around 4.5 acres, will be provided direct income support at the rate of 6,000 rupees per year. And this article is comparing these two schemes. One is Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act and the other one is Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi Yojana. Here it says that this MGNREGA is a universal program. There is no concept of targeted beneficiaries under this MGNREGA, whereas here the targeted beneficiaries are vulnerable landholding farmer families only. Whereas this scheme is unclear. The provisions under this scheme were unclear about the tenant farmers and women farmers, whether they will also be benefited with this cash transfer program. As per this program, the income support of 6,000 rupees will be provided directly into the bank accounts of the beneficiary farmers in 3 equal installments. With this income support, it is expected to meet or provide assured supplemental income to the most vulnerable farmer families by meeting their emergent needs, especially before the harvest season. The next article is No Zero Sum Games. This article comes under GS paper 2 under the topic of international relations, and it also comes under GS paper 3 under the topic of economy. From this article, what we must know is what is this generalized system of preferences, which we have dealt clearly in our 9th February 2019 video. Please do check it. The next article is SBI and Oriental Bank of Commerce put stressed accounts on sale. This article is not of much importance, but in this article there is mention of a term known as asset reconstruction companies. So this is important. We should know what are these asset reconstruction companies. We know that the leading problem in the country right now is the huge pile up or volume of non-performing assets, with the banking system. Several attempts were made to tackle these non-performing assets, out of which one serious such step is the creation of a dedicated institutions called as asset reconstruction companies. These are the companies that will purchase these non-performing assets or bad assets from the banks at a negotiable price and will help the bank to clean up their balance sheets by removing these non-performing assets. So, these asset reconstruction companies are specialized financial institutions that are in the business of buying bad loans from the banks at a negotiable price. This will help the bank to concentrate in its normal banking activities, because now these bad loans or the non-performing assets were taken over by these asset reconstruction companies. If not, the banks have to go after the defaulters by wasting their time and effort. So, if they sell these bad assets to these ARCs at a mutually agreed value, the banks can focus on their normal banking activities. Now, from where does this asset reconstruction companies have gained their legal basis in India? It is the securitization and reconstruction of financial assets and enforcement of Security Interest Act, SARFAESI Act of 2002 provided the legal basis for setting up these asset reconstruction companies in India. This act will help the reconstruction of the bad assets that were lying with the banks without the intervention of courts. There is no provision to go to the court. Now, these can be reconstructed with the help of these asset reconstruction companies. From then, these asset reconstruction companies were formed in large number and they were registered with the Reserve Bank of India, which is the regulator of these asset reconstruction companies. Now, what are the capital needs for setting up these ARCs? As per the amendment made on the SARFAESI Act in 2016, an asset reconstruction company should have a minimum net owned fund of 2 crore rupees. The RBI is planning to raise this amount to 100 crore by the end of March 2019. Along with this, these asset reconstruction companies should also maintain a capital adequacy ratio of 15% of its risk-weighted assets. The next article is in the business zone. This article comes under GS paper 3 under the topic of economy, and here the subtopic is infrastructure. From this article, now we are going to see about what are these special economic zones. Special economic zones are the zones created to promote export production, trade, investment, job opportunities, etc. It is a geographical region which is having economic laws that were different from a country's typical economic laws. In case of special economic zones, the economic laws were different comparing to the other areas in the country. Usually, the goal of these special economic zones is to increase foreign investments. A company that is located within a special economic zone will get many benefits. It will be able to produce and trade goods at globally competitive prices. In a special economic zone, the economic laws that will be applied in that particular geographical area will be different, and they were more relaxed and conducive to trade when compared to the other areas in the country. The legal basis for these special economic zones were the Special Economic Zones Act of 2005, according to which the special economic zones will attract a large flow of foreign and domestic investment in the infrastructure and productive capacity, leading to generation of additional economic activity and creation of employment opportunities. Some of the features of these special economic zones are: a special economic zone is a designated duty-free enclave and it will be treated as a foreign territory for the purpose of trade operations and duties and tariffs. And a special economic zone need not require license for imports. They are allowed in the areas of manufacturing, trading and servicing activities. They were provided with full freedom for subcontracting. The domestic sales from these special economic zones are subjected to full custom duties and import policy when they sell their produce to the domestic markets. And these special economic zones need not pay any income tax on their profits for the first 5 years, and only they have to pay 50% of the tax for 2 more years thereafter. And if half of the profit is again reinvested in the corporation, then the concession of 50% tax will be extended to 3 more years. These special economic zone developers, they can get the raw material from cement to steel to electrical parts at zero tax and duty. And there is also provision to have different types of special economic zones like sector specific special economic zone and multi-product special economic zone. Here the minimum area requirements for setting up a special economic zone is, in case of multi-sector special economic zone, it is the minimum area required is 500 hectares, whereas for a sector specific special economic zone the minimum area required is 50 hectares. So in order to get approval for developing a special economic zone, the developer has to submit the proposal for establishment of it to the concerned state government, which the state government will forward the proposal with its recommendation within 45 days to the board of approval. And this applicant can directly even submit the proposal to the board of approval. This board of approval was constituted by the central government under this Special Economic Zones Act. It is this board which will give the approval whether to set up a special economic zone, whether to develop it or not. And here all the decisions in the board of approval are taken by consensus. This board can approve, it might approve or modify and approve a proposal for establishment of special economic zone if it is in accordance with the SEZ rules, subjected to the requirements of minimum area of land and various other terms and conditions that were indicated in the SEZ rules. Now let's see our today's prelims questions. Try to answer these. Consider the following pairs. Community sometimes mentioned in the news in the affairs of which country? The next question is related to the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Try to answer these questions and tomorrow we'll see a detailed explanation for these questions. And this is our Law Excellence website where you can access the notes for this video, and this is our official Telegram channel where the notes for this video is already available. Thank you.